Something that's not talked about that I think is absolutely huge is this week in Game Pass. And this week in Game Pass, we've gotten two games that have dropped yesterday and today, and that is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, which we are playing the showcase trailer here for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 on the screen, and the world looks amazing. I've been watching players play it all day. I downloaded it last night. I'm going to be jumping in later tonight. But they add some features here. They add some things here. Nobody is doing what Microsoft Flight Simulator is doing in its space, in its genre. It is literally, quite literally, one of a kind. And I think it's actually underrated as a piece of Game Pass. The other game that dropped is Stalker 2. Now, I've been very excited to play Stalker 2. I do hear there are some technical issues happening at the moment. There was a giant day one patch that dropped. It'll be interesting to see over the next week if they're able to sort out some of those technical issues. I am downloading that currently, and I will be jumping in to try that out. Everybody tells me I've got to try Stalker. It's going to be interesting to see if Stalker 2 lives up to the hype. We're going to go over both of these games, what they mean for Game Pass. PlayStation also looks like they're chasing FromSoftware, buying the parent company of FromSoftware. Now, a lot of people are saying this is because of the anime. I'm sure it is. Remember, Sony is primarily a media company, and it makes total sense if they're jumping in for that. But as a result of going after the anime and consolidating their portfolio there in the anime space, they could be getting FromSoftware, which would mean Elden Ring. I mean, it would mean Dark Souls. It would mean a huge what's considered some of the best games to come out in the last decade for Sony. I think that style does fit their ethos. Let's talk about all this, but before we do, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. We drop videos like this all of the time. If you haven't yet, X1 Daily is our podcast. X1 Daily is the podcast. Make sure you go leave us a 5-star review. Subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Give us a like, hit that like button, smash it, as the children say. Also, if you want to support us, consider becoming a member. My goal in the next 5 years, in the next decade, is to become one of the largest voices in gaming. I believe I could do that with your guys' support, so thank you very much for that. Okay, let's jump into it. You're seeing on screen here, we're watching Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. There's a couple things that they added to this rendition of Flight Simulator, primarily career mode, which I think is huge and going to be a ton of fun. In fact, I was talking to my brother last night and I was like, hey, let's go do some careers together. So you can compete against other pilots. There's dynamically generated missions with these career modes. So, for instance, you can be a hospital helicopter, a medic, a flight medic. What do they call those? I don't know. A flight medic, for instance, and you take on different missions and you go through that. I think they have expanded their globe clearly. Now, the cool thing here is I have watched different parts of the globe that players are flying on. One of the coolest videos that I've seen yet so far in Flight Simulator 2024 is you're playing like as a Top Gun pilot and they're going through canyons, and oh my goodness. And that they actually showed that off in the trailer here, but then players went and did it and you're going through like forests and stuff. It looks so good. It's absolutely beautiful. Again, I don't think, if you've never played a Flight Simulator game, yes, it's niche. It's niche. No, it's a niche game, but how niche is it? I'm seeing everybody on the socials last night downloading it, trying to get in. Now, it was hugely popular. There were queue lines, and which is funny. One of the jokes on Twitter was like, "Well, they've nailed the realism. They've nailed the realism. I'm waiting in queue lines at the airport, basically, to get in to fly." So that's it. You can see, though, here on screen there's a commercial pilot. That's one of the jobs right there. This person is playing as a job as a commercial airline pilot. And that the careers are huge. I think the careers, look at this. Oh, there's the air ambulance, for instance. That's one of the careers. Because before it was just fly around, do what you want. Look at aerial advertising. The sky is not the limit. This is the meme that everyone is taking and putting in their own words there. VIP charter service. Oh, I think I might be a VIP charter service. A pilot to the rich and the famous. How cool would that be? What is this one? Agricultural aviation. There you go. Agricultural aviation. Rescue. I think careers are big because it gives you a sense of what to do. Whereas before it was like, Pick any of our aircrafts. Go ahead and fly. Do whatever you want. And it was a great sandbox. I think giving you missions here, I think giving you careers to follow, giving you leaderboards with that is huge and going to benefit this game drastically. So that's Microsoft Flight Simulator. Again, available day one on Game Pass. The OG, it's going to be interesting to see what the ratings are for 2024. The OG revamp of Microsoft Flight Simulator that dropped 2 years ago was like 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10. Everybody, I mean, universally, it's the best of its kind. Nobody's doing what it's doing. And I think it's actually underrated. I said this 2 years ago when it dropped, that this is an underrated addition to Game Pass. And I think it's actually a huge pull for Game Pass for a lot of people. And that's the power of Game Pass, truly, that you can pick these kind of what are viewed anyways as niche titles, and it will draw in people to Game Pass subscription as a whole, because you're not only getting the title you want, you're getting exposure to a whole bunch of other titles that are available on Game Pass. Now, available today is Stalker 2. I want to read to you the back jacket cover of Stalker 2. Discover the vast Chernobyl exclusion zone full of dangerous enemies, deadly anomalies, and powerful artifacts. Unveil your own epic story as you make your way to the heart of Chernobyl. Choose your path wisely, as they will determine your fate and shape the future of humankind in the end. Now, I hear you die a lot in this game, in early reviews, early previews of this game. You die a lot. I never played the first Stalker. Again, everybody telling me that I will love it. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's downloading on my Xbox right now. I'll be playing it tonight. It does seem to be common consensus that there are some technical issues with this game at launch, which is a shame. I think that's affecting some people's reviews. VGC Gaming Video Game Chronicles gave it a 2-star rating out of 5. And primarily because of those technical issues, which I think is a shame. I think if there's technical issues, let's wait. Is the game fun? If the technical issues didn't exist, is the game fun? I think rating it on technical issues, granted, that's what, I mean, it's fair game. It is fair game. But I'm going to be curious to see where this game falls, where this game ends up. It did have a massive preload day one patch. So it's clear that they're aware of those issues, that they're trying to fix those issues. At least I would assume that that's what that massive day one patch was for. Anyways, this is dropping on Game Pass. Day one, available. We got 2 of these huge hitting titles this week. Very, very exciting. Very exciting. We also are getting Aliens Dark Descent this month. We're getting Little Kitty Big City. We're getting 9 Souls, which looks really interesting actually. And then we're getting Plate Up. What am I, French? No, Plate Up is the other game. It's like a restaurant simulator style of game. 9 Souls looks really interesting as well. But the 2 big hitters, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and Stalker 2, very excited for each of these. I would love to know in the comments, have you jumped in yet to either of those? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you think that Microsoft Flight Simulator is kind of this dark horse? It's this very unique game that nobody else has. Nobody else has anything like it on their platform. None of the competitors do. And I think it's this underrated X factor for Game Pass, for Xbox, for Microsoft that really sets the platform apart, particularly when you talk about the hardcore simulations in there where you have people doing add-ons on their PC that lets you play as the control tower, that lets you interact with the control tower, that lets you go on these huge flights, and that you can put together, teams and groups of fellow hardcore simulatis. The simulati. I think it's an underrated addition to Game Pass. If you've not played Flight Simulator, highly recommend. And again, it's on Game Pass, so go download it, check it out. I've only played it on the Series X. And it's fabulous. It's beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to jumping into 2024. Go check it out. Would highly recommend it. And then I'm very much looking forward to Stalker 2. Let me know if you guys have jumped in. If you've had technical issues with it as well, let me know in the comments below. Give me your first impression reviews there. Let me know what you think. And it's a big week. It's a big week for Xbox. It's a big week for Game Pass. Before we get out of here, though, I do want to just mention in passing, Sony. Okay, there's 2 parts to this. There's obviously the gaming side of Sony. One of the big news stories is that Sony is looking to purchase the parent company of FromSoftware. A lot of people are thinking that means that if Sony gets it, they're going to make it exclusive. I actually don't think they will. I actually do not. I think that they're going to take a similar approach to Game Pass eventually. Remember, on their PS Plus service, which is like the Game Pass competitor, day one titles do not drop there. I think eventually they're going to have to drop there. I think Sony is playing catch up in a lot of ways to Xbox with regards to Game Pass. Remember, just because Sony's winning 3-1 right now, they're making decisions based on them winning 3-1 in the console space right now. But the decisions that Microsoft is making is this blue ocean strategy. They're doing things in a way that haven't been done before. They're kind of paving the way for a subscription pass service. They're paving the way in terms of acquiring new studios, dropping those new studios, dropping day one on Game Pass while allowing those games to be on other platforms as basically one giant advertisement for your subscription service. So it's this blue ocean strategy, I think, for Xbox and for Microsoft, and I think they're leading there. And I think PlayStation, honestly, is playing catch up in a lot of ways. Now, I'm not an expert on the portfolio of Sony, the larger Sony and Sony Studios with regards to movies, music, anime, but rumor is that the real reason that they're looking at this acquisition is to shore up their anime portfolio. That seems to make a lot of sense to me, particularly in this day and age. And they're huge. Remember, they're a huge movie company. They're a huge multimedia company in that respect. However, as a part of that, they are getting FromSoftware, which does fit the ethos of PlayStation. These world-renowned first-person RPGs. A lot of people consider FromSoftware, at top of their game right now. Elden Ring, one of the top RPGs of all time, if not the top of all time. Or they created a whole genre. The Souls-like genre is named after them. So it would be huge for Sony to get that. Absolutely, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I am not worried about exclusivity. Genuinely, I think the game has changed for that. You might say to yourself, well, wait a minute. They're all these other games are exclusive on Sony, like Final Fantasy and stuff. They operate in the same reality as everybody else, and that same reality shows Square Enix no longer wants anything to do with console exclusivity purchases. They need more people to play their games. Sony operates in that same world. Now, Sony is winning 3-1, but that exclusivity or those exclusivity decisions are primarily first-party titles that have always been first-party titles that remain first-party titles or third-party titles where they've had long-standing contracts. I think here going forward, what you will see perhaps is, hey, this is unique to PS Plus, and then eventually will come everywhere else in the same way that Xbox is doing that with certain games with Xbox Game Pass like Indiana Jones. So it's regardless. None of it's done. This is just a rumor. It was confirmed that yes, they are interested in buying this, so it's more than a rumor. Whether it will happen though is the big question. I don't see why it wouldn't. It's going to be really interesting. I think we did a story last week about Xbox looking to make more acquisitions. Sony is going to be in that same camp. And it's the reality that we live in 2024. The gaming landscape is completely changing. So we'll be interesting to see where that falls. Good on Sony for getting that. Again, I think that does fit the ethos really well. I think it is in response. Okay, again, rumor is it's for the anime. But on the game side, I think in part it is in response to what Microsoft is doing with Game Pass and Xbox. And I mean, just look at this week. Microsoft Flight Simulator, Stalker 2, dropping on Game Pass. That does us for today, everyone, though. Let me know, again, any of your thoughts on anything we talked about in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, share us with your friends. We're going to take over the gaming world, baby. We're going to take it over. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.